They read your message hours ago and haven't replied, and your mind has already written the ending. They're angry, they're done with you. You said something wrong. A friend seems a little distant, and you instantly know they've cooled on you. Your boss wants a quick chat, and your stomach drops before you've heard a single word. Notice something. Out of all the possible explanations, your mind reaches, automatically and instantly, for the worst one. Not the neutral one. Not the boring, likely one. The worst. Why does the human mind do this, sprinting to catastrophe, when the evidence barely points anywhere at all? The answer is older than you are, and once you see it, those spirals lose their grip. Let's start with the fact that reframes everything. Your brain assuming the worst is not a malfunction. It's a feature. It's doing exactly what hundreds of thousands of years of evolution built it to do: keep you alive. Picture an ancestor who hears a rustle in the grass. The one who assumes it's the wind and relaxes, occasionally gets eaten. The one who assumes it's a predator and tenses, wastes energy on a false alarm but survives. Over countless generations, the anxious, worst-assuming brains lived to pass on their genes, and the calm, optimistic ones sometimes didn't. You are the descendant of the worriers. Your tendency to assume the worst is your inheritance from every ancestor whose caution kept them alive long enough to become your ancestor. Which gives us the core principle running underneath all of it. Your brain is wired to prefer a false alarm over a missed threat. In survival terms, the two errors are not equal. Assume danger when there's none, and you lose a little energy and comfort. Miss a real danger, and you could lose everything. So your brain is deliberately tuned to over-detect threat, to cry wolf 100 times rather than stay silent once when the wolf is real. This is why worst-case thinking feels so urgent and so certain it's not weighing probabilities like a calm accountant. It's a smoke alarm, and a smoke alarm is designed to scream at burnt toast because the one time it's a real fire, that scream saves your life. Here's the problem, though. That ancient system is now running in a world it was never built for. The threats it evolved to handle were physical and immediate. Predators, rivals, real danger you could see. But today, there are almost no rustling grass moments. Instead, your threat system fires at unanswered texts, ambiguous facial expressions, tones of voice, delayed replies, a boss's vague message. Your brain treats a friend's short reply like a predator in the grass, flooding you with the same alarm that was meant for genuine physical danger. The machinery is superbly designed. It's just aimed at a modern social world full of ambiguity that it fundamentally misreads as threat. And ambiguity is the exact trigger. Here's the second key mechanism. Your mind cannot tolerate an information vacuum, so it fills the gaps, and it fills them with threat. When you don't know why someone went quiet, why the plan changed, what that look meant, your brain rushes to write a story, because uncertainty itself feels dangerous. And given the choice of stories, it defaults to the threatening one. Better to brace for rejection that isn't coming than to be blindsided by rejection that is. So the silence isn't neutral to your brain. Neutral feels unsafe. It would rather hand you a painful certainty, they're angry with me, than leave you in the exposed discomfort of simply not knowing. There's a third force amplifying all of this, and it's about your particular history. If you've been hurt, betrayed, abandoned, or criticized before, especially early in life, your brain files those experiences as evidence about how the world works, and it recalibrates to expect them. Assuming the worst becomes a form of self-protection. If I expect the rejection, the abandonment, the criticism, then it can't catch me off guard. It can't devastate me. So the mind braces for the blow in advance, believing the bracing will soften it. It's the logic of someone who's been hurt, trying to make sure they're never that vulnerable again. Understandable, protective, and, as we'll see, quietly making everything worse. Because here is the cost, and it's steep, assuming the worst creates the very outcomes it fears. When you're braced for rejection, you act differently. You pull back, you go cold, you get defensive, you send the clipped reply, you protect yourself preemptively, and the other person, who may have simply been busy, feels your sudden distance and pulls back in response. And now the connection really is strained, exactly as you predicted. Your assumption became a self-fulfilling prophecy. You saw a threat that wasn't there, reacted to it as if it were, and in reacting, you made it real. The worst-case brain doesn't just predict painful outcomes, it manufactures them. And it's exhausting, because you end up paying, over and over, for disasters that never happen. You feel the full fear of the rejection, the conflict, the catastrophe, in advance. And then most of the time the feared thing simply doesn't occur. The person was driving, the boss wanted good news, the friend was just tired. But your body already lived through the dread as if it were real. Chronic worst-case thinking means suffering 100 imagined blows to avoid one real one, and slowly wearing down your peace, your health, and your relationships to defend against threats that were never actually there. So how do you work with a brain built to cry wolf? The first move is to name the alarm for what it is. When you feel that instant certainty of the worst, pause and label it. That's my threat system firing. That's a smoke alarm, not a fire. This one act of recognition creates a crucial gap between the alarm and your reaction. Because the feeling of certainty the worst-case brain generates is not evidence, it's just the alarm doing its ancient job. You can hear the alarm, thank it for its vigilance, and still decline to believe every word it screams. The second move is to consciously generate other stories, because your brain will only offer you the threatening one. When you catch yourself certain that the silence means rejection, deliberately ask, what are 3 other explanations? They're busy. They're overwhelmed with their own life. They didn't see it. Their phone died. You don't have to believe these are true. You just have to remind your mind that the catastrophic story is one possibility among many, usually not the likeliest. This isn't forced positivity, it's accuracy, widening the aperture your fear has narrowed to a single terrifying point. The third move is to check reality instead of living inside the assumption. So much worst-case suffering comes from treating a guess as a fact and never testing it. When it matters, ask, are we okay? Did I misread that? Is everything all right? Most of the time, the answer dissolves the entire spiral in a sentence, and you realize you built an elaborate catastrophe on a foundation of pure ambiguity. Living in your assumptions keeps you trapped in a story only your fear is writing. Checking gently hands the pen back to reality. So the next time your mind sprints to the worst, the unanswered message, the distant friend, the vague summons, and hands you instant, gut-certain dread, recognize what's really happening. An ancient, loyal alarm system, built to save your life from predators, is misfiring at the harmless ambiguity of modern life. It isn't broken, and it isn't the truth. It's just old, protective machinery doing its overzealous best. You don't have to obey it. You can feel the alarm, name it, offer yourself the kinder and more likely story, and check what's actually real. The worst thing you imagine is almost never what's coming, and you were never in the danger your body kept preparing to survive.